And we're back.
We are back again. This has got to be, I think, episode 6.
After taking the fall off.
Yes, I'm just going to take a moment to say there's been a lot of life changes just in our lives with schedules and everything. So the pace of this is going to be kind of all over the place.
Yeah.
We may or may not have as much time. Not that we're necessarily going to do more than 4 to 6 times a year anyway, which we hit our goal last year for that.
Did we? Nice.
Yeah, we did about 5, I think. So
Was last year or first year?
yes.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember.
I
like it's a blur.
Well, we should probably introduce ourselves for the listeners,
Happy
right?
2025. I'm Steph,
And I'm Jack.
and we're married,
Yes, and
we're friends.
yes, and we like to go and see movies together.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, here's what this episode's gonna be kind of about. To be honest, we haven't seen a ton since I think before November.
Yeah.
Which I think is indicative of a few things, but we touched on a few things last episode just very briefly when we did our abroad episode.
Yeah.
And I think we could expand into those a little bit more because there's been some post stuff. We can touch on like Oscar nominations a little bit. I don't have the list in front of me, but we can talk about what you remember and just do a kind of post-mortem.
Yeah. And I think our final thoughts of our 2024, is it 2024 movies technically?
Yes.
Of like our 20
full.
of our 2024 movies, I think we'll save that till the next episode.
Yes.
Because there's a lot more that we want to see. And we just haven't had the time. And I think we did a really great job the 2023 movies that we saw. We saw all top 10 Best Picture noms. And so I think that's what was great content, was being able to rate them and talk about them. And we're just not there. We could actually name the ones that we haven't seen yet that we are very much looking forward to seeing.
Off the top of our head, because I don't have the list in front of me.
Juror number 2, really want to see.
Yeah.
Wait, that's not even a nom, actually, is it?
Is it not? Oh,
No,
I think
it's
you're
not a
right.
nom.
Okay, so
But it was a predicted like top 30 nom, which like
what?
but-
Based on what? Based on what source were you?
I don't remember.
Yeah, just a Googled source that you found.
Buttsuit Barnes.
Buttsuit Barnes.
That was the source. Yeah.
I love it.
So what were some of the other?
Well,
there was a musical. That one musical everyone's talking about. Emily
Okay.
Perez.
Emilia
Perez.
Yeah. So yeah,
I'm hearing some good stuff about that.
I'm hearing a lot of stuff about it that seems to be both positive and negative. I mean, it had a almost, I'm not going to say historic, but it had a crazy amount of nominations.
Insane.
Which people are reacting very strongly
in
for and against.
multiple categories.
Yeah.
And I think wasn't one of the characters one of the actors in some hot water.
One of the actors said some things on Twitter recently
Yeah.
that was not.
Which we're not going to talk about that.
No,
We're going to
no.
talk about fun movies.
Yes.
But
yeah.
I'm excited to see it. I do love Selena Gomez in part because she's wonderful in Only Murders in the Building, which is a TV show.
Oh yeah.
You
I
haven't
don't
seen
watch
it?
that, but you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love the show. If you haven't seen it, it's great. They have a lot of
Cameo.
a lot of cameos. They have a lot of really fun ASL scenes too. So it's just cool to see including the deaf community in it.
You showed me a few scenes of that. I forgot.
What other movies?
Well, let's see. So we talked about this a little bit, and I've seen this, and I showed you a little bit of it.
Oh yeah.
It's The Substance.
Yeah.
Yes.
With Demi Moore.
Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, I think is how you say her name.
Margaret Qualley.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let me just say that, and I'll arrive at kind of like a general point about
The Substance.
yes,
Which is a nomination, is it not?
it's been nominated in a few categories.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I just want to say really quick about The Substance before I get to some general Oscar thoughts. I don't think we will, unless I'm misreading you, I don't think we will be talking about that. I've seen it in theaters. I showed you a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Just to kind of gauge where you were at with it. And I don't sense that you want to see it. This is my opinion. I think it's a 2.5 hour movie. And I think the first 2 hours are great stuff. And the last half hour, I've never laughed harder at something in a theater in my life for how ridiculous it was and overblown. And so a lot of people loved it. Even some people I talked to at the theater loved it.
Okay.
It's not really my cup of tea personally.
I would see it for the sole purpose of Dennis Quaid.
Yeah, he that's right. He's in it. It's just, yeah.
So
we won't have
so what would you rate it out of 10?
Oh,
10
goodness. You want me, the full thing?
Yeah, the whole movie.
So I'd probably give it like a 5 or a 6.
Oof, ladies and gentlemen, that's what a bad ending does to the rating.
Well, it's this thing isn't like, this is the thing about art. It's not science. There's not like a pipette that you're taking.
Right, there's not a rubric. Although
Right.
there should be for nominating. But
Yeah.
nominators. Nominators. You need to be asking the educators of the world to create a real in-depth rubric so you can actually grade and nominate these things not subjectively.
There's been a lot of pieces and discussions about this over the years.
How it's nominated.
Well, yeah, I mean, like one of
people just pay each other probably.
Okay, wow.
We're in the conspiracy theories.
Yeah, let's move on from that subject.
All right, what other movies are we
well, that we want to
maybe
see?
some of the viewers have seen that they can.
Yeah, they can comment down below on whatever platform. I don't have the list in
Movies
front of
have
me.
tickled your fancy this last year.
Was there anything that jumped out at you from the list? I mean,
Well, okay. The two that we just haven't seen yet because they're so long and we haven't had time to, and we do want to see A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan story that I have seen.
Yeah.
With Timothy Chalamet, and I've seen a lot of interviews with Timothy Chalamet talking about it because I enjoy his work.
Yeah, he's great. Although that one podcast is really I played like a clip of it. I was like, this is the most ADHD. Not that that's a bad thing. It just was like, wow.
Interesting young fellow.
I can't keep track of what they were talking about.
And then, of course, Wicked, which I haven't actually heard a single bad thing about it.
Yeah.
I have not heard a single, even mediocre thing about it.
I've heard a ton of praise about that for sure. Definitely.
So stay tuned for that. Let's move on to movies we've seen.
Well, can I say one thing quick before we move on from that?
What if I said no?
I'm going to say it anyway.
Okay.
This will be, I'm just going to throw this out there, and this will be part of a longer point of discussion.
Okay.
When we get to it, to our debrief, like in full on last year, I have a very strong feeling that part of the reason we haven't seen a lot of stuff, part of the reason is that I think 2024 was a massive step down in quality overall compared to 2022.
Yeah, we've talked about that.
Like one of our friends, I was actually talking with her about the noms, and she was like, yeah, you can tell there was a strike.
Yeah,
like for sure.
Yeah, 2023, it was relentless in the amount of incredible, magical art that was made.
Which is also probably a side effect of the strikes. Like a lot of stuff got pushed to being there instead of being in the summer.
But yeah,
when it would have been.
Year, it was pretty.
And then there was a drought.
Pretty disappointing.
Yeah, I mean,
Challengers or Civil War get any noms? I think Challengers didn't get any extra.
Challengers got snubbed, which a lot of people were shocked by the score, which they thought the score was going to get nommed for sure. I mean, yeah, we can talk about it more. We've shared our thoughts on Challengers. I thought it was great.
Yes, we already did. I was just curious about if it got nommed.
I don't think it did. I think it was one of several that were snubbed. There were a lot of snubs this year,
Tons.
which was the other thing.
Did A Real Pain get anything?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it got Best Supporting.
So
we can talk about A Real Pain.
Let's talk about A Real Pain because Jack and I have been wanting to see it for quite some time. I think for a few reasons.
Yes.
You really love Jesse Eisenberg.
Can I say my thing about Jesse Eisenberg for the record?
Yeah.
I've said this since high school.
We're a Jesse Eisenberg fan club in the Albert home.
I've said this for many years about Jesse Eisenberg. I'm a huge fan of him. If there is ever a biopic about me, he would be my choice to play me if I ever had to say in it. I love him. He's amazing. He wrote and directed. This is his second movie.
Okay.
And Kieran Culkin, I think that's how you say his name.
Mm-hmm.
He plays like his brother, and they do this pilgrimage or cousin. Sorry.
Yes.
They almost have like a brotherly relationship.
Polish cousin. Well, right? Polish.
I think I thought
Their grandma was in Poland. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like Polish Jewish or something? Or no?
Well,
I don't remember specifically.
Well, the premise of the story is like their grandmother who lived in Poland passed away.
Yes.
And these two cousins were really, really close when they were younger. And they're kind of just like they go to Poland together to just kind of like see where their grandma came from and kind of just you realize that they're polar opposites and they're at very different places in their life than when they were kids, which I think anyone who was close with their cousins when they were younger, like,
or any family,
or
to be honest.
yeah, any family. Like I was super close with my cousins when I was younger, and I think naturally, unless your siblings growing up in the same house, you just have that natural drifting apart. And I think what was unique about this movie was not only the acting being absurdly moving.
It was very, even just like not even the leads. Remember the one scene very early on when it was like they're doing this tour and all the people are meeting and talking and they're like, "Oh, I'm boring," and doing small talk. We like stopped it. And I'm like, that is one of the most real scenes I've watched in a long time. Like the acting was really good from everyone.
It was very entertaining and kind of funny. Kieran Culkin plays this pretty like polarizing, bombastic, maybe bipolar-ish guy.
Yeah.
And Jesse Eisenberg's character is just so even-keeled and like a little embarrassed of his cousin and
a little shy. Yeah.
Shy, and the polar opposing. They're just look. If you just want to watch movies for the sake of incredible acting,
yeah,
I highly recommend this movie. But on top of it, there was a simplicity to this movie, and then when they went to Poland, like you see just a lot of how taken back they are with like realizing what their grandma went through and like things that were happening in the Holocaust. And like, I think if I could just make one political statement right now, it's just movies like this are a good reminder of like, why do people think things like the Holocaust was fake? I mean, it's just, there are people that are just delusional and you see these are the reasons why movies are important.
Yep.
You see art like this and you're like, this is moving me to tears. Mm-hmm. This is such an incredible story. I relate to it in this way or that way. And then you have like a huge historical significance to this movie.
Well, even from the standpoint of filming, I had read after the fact that they filmed a bunch of scenes like at a old concentration camp that haven't been captured on film before. It had shades of, not precisely, but very, very light shades of the zone of interest in terms of like tone when they got to the camp.
Which I think naturally there is when you're filming anything about the Holocaust, like there's just this sobrietal, like I mean I don't even know how to describe it.
We don't have the heritage of like family having gone through something like that. The closest thing is like my heritage is like my family was driven out of, I think it was Germany by Russians or something like that. They had to go to Russia or something because of like I have a German background, and post World War II there was a lot of like backlash in the other direction of like, well, all German people are bad, that's a whole separate thing. I'm just saying, like, I'm describing my heritage and history, so please don't shut it down. But my point is that, like, this kind of stuff, we don't have that connection to. So
and I think even the title is really cool because it's clear that the cousins are
not quite the same.
They're not the same, so they can be a real pain in each other's sides. And then there's,
and also the actual lived pain that they go through.
The lived pain that you see from, and not even the lived pain just from the historical concept of where their grandmother came from, but the lived pain that like they're going through as adults.
Yeah.
So anyway, And maybe it makes it sound, maybe we're making it sound a little heavy. And sure, it is a little, but I would say give it a watch because I don't want to say it's fun.
It's not fun.
It's not fun.
I think it's it's a digestible watch.
It is, yeah.
That's what I would say. Like, it's not like Bleak.
It's right. It's not this harrowing.
There's things that are funny in it and funny about it and like quirky. But
yes.
It's
super quirky.
I think Jesse just shows his chops as a writer director.
Yeah.
Way more. Not that his acting is bad at all in this. His character is very similar to other characters he's played for this type of thing, but it does feel more personal for sure. So yeah, I mean, we loved it. I thought it was excellent.
And I think there are a handful of movies and documentaries out there that are personal, about the Holocaust. And I think what does make this unique is because the Holocaust was in the past, many of the movies that you see that are made, they're like talking about it in the present. And so this movie it's people today, families today, and seeing how their parents and grandparents were affected by this. So I just think it's a really unique take too on the historical significance of like even something that these cousins never lived through, of, hey, there are things that are still affecting them from this like horrifically tragic thing. So
yeah,
I don't know, I'd give it a 8.75 out of 10.
You get so specific.
Yeah.
It's just solid stars for me.
Get to a 9.
Yeah. I'm
what are you doing?
9.
You are?
Are you kidding me? Like, it was...
Maybe I'll put it to a 9 too.
No, you don't have to follow me. You're only 0.7th of the way to that 9.
I'm giving it 9.1167 stars.
Stop it. Okay, so...
What other movies are we talking
about?
Well,
I mean, I can't think of... Well, so I've seen more stuff recently than you have in terms of like, I think honestly,
we've seen a few movies in theaters. What were they?
That I don't know. I can tell you that last year, what I was most impressed with was the horror films that I saw.
Yeah.
Venom was horrible. Yeah, let's talk about that.
Venom 3 was horrible.
What a waste of time and a waste of the audience's time. We liked the first two. They're fun.
Yeah, we liked Venom a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first one was probably the best, just in terms of simple comic book type fun. Not anything super profound or deep, but just fun.
We were pretty bored and laughing at the absurdity of how dumb the movie was.
It was very, about halfway through, I'm like,
what?
There's no real story to this. This is very boring and very
shallow. That's the thing, is it was shallow and boring.
And I absolutely hated the way they ended it. Like, I absolutely hated it.
Yeah.
It was so, just don't waste your time. Like, look up a...
And if you liked us, let us know why. We genuinely would love to hear why you liked it.
Yeah, so someone, I think I was reading online, someone was like, oh, I actually liked it. And I was like, I didn't.
I know a movie we need to talk about now.
Well, we eventually need to get back to the ones we briefly mentioned in our last episode, but what's the one you're thinking?
Well, did we talk about We Live in Time? And what's the movie we want to keep forgetting?
We Live in Time. What's that one?
With Andrew Garfield and Florence Pugh.
I don't think we did talk about that one. Let's talk about that one really quick.
Yeah, well, I think I liked it better than you did.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was good. The performances are the clear standout part of it.
Well, I mean,
Biggest surprise in the world.
We're both
so good.
Big Andrew Garfield fans.
Yes.
And I particularly, I think I'm a huge Andrew Garfield fan.
To a concerning degree for a high school.
Well, I watch hours of interviews.
I come back, I'm like, what is this YouTube history?
I just, my thing with film is like, I really get into, I don't know, like interviews and like,
yeah, you do actually.
I really enjoy watching interviews of like people and things that I've recently watched. And then, so We Live in Time was beautiful.
I was just thinking about that the other day in terms of like their relationship for like, I would say not quite traditional like male-female relationship. I kind
Yeah.
of took that away from it.
Yeah, like how the premise of the story, if you haven't seen it, I mean, it's, I think, fairly popular, is this guy, Tobias is his name, right?
I have no idea the character name.
Yeah,
I
Tobias.
do not remember.
Going through a divorce, and he gets in a car accident, and he meets the lady that hits him, and then they, you know, fall in love, and yeah, they just go through some like tragic things together, and they just go through life together. And I think what was the strong storytelling point of this movie is it jumped back and forth into it, like
The
between
structure of it.
different time periods.
Yeah.
But I think maybe one of the reasons why I took to it so much, it was the simplicity of, you know, the everyday life and the hard and the fun of marriage. And they had some pretty just like relatable scenes, I would say, in my perspective, with infertility. So I think I just kind of took to it. It came at a you know, interesting time in my life, and I really related to it. And
Yeah,
so,
they have a
I
whole
loved it.
They have a whole story of like their journey with fertility, which felt very honest.
Yeah.
Real.
Yeah.
The birth scene, I think, was like a big like triumph for how they shot that.
I think we should talk about it and just have spoilers.
Okay, let's get into it.
Yeah,
then.
because it's been out long enough.
Okay,
So spoilers.
skip this part for the next few minutes. I'll put it in the show notes what parts to skip. But yeah.
So they finally get pregnant, and she's like about to give birth, and long story short, she ends up giving birth in a gas station bathroom.
Yep.
But I know you kind of watched or talked or heard about some things of them shooting it, and how it was like, right? It was just such a unique and intimate thing.
I think it took like 4 hours or something.
Well, there
almost.
It was Andrew and Florence and 2 other actors, and then it was literally just the director, the camera operator, and the boom.
That sounds right. Yeah.
And that was it. So it was like a closed set.
Yeah.
And apparently it was just like this really intense and like intimate thing, and I think that's the beauty of. I think that's just why acting is so interesting to me.
Yeah. Well, and the choices they make to try and portray that in a realistic way. I don't. There was something about it, and I'm not remembering, so we'll probably bring it up next time. But there was something about the way they shot it, like whether it was the length of time, or like how they, the scenario and like context of how they decided to shoot it. It just was like obviously not real labor, but it had shades of that.
Yeah.
Where it felt like very intimate and close to that.
Well, I know like Florence had said she'd called her sister and her mom and like was literally asking about their labor experiences, and
I think they worked with like a coach or
they
like
didn't want to make
like a
it
doula
like
they
didn't want to make it like any other, like all the other like, oh, I'm gonna scream because I'm in so much pain type of thing.
No, it felt pretty honest, which was nice to see.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I'd give it a 8.5 out of 10.
I don't remember. I think I was somewhere between a 6 and a 7 with it.
Yeah.
Like I the thing that kind of took me out of it was the editing felt a little too choppy as it went along, just like the pacing of it.
That's fair.
But
Brownie points to Florence Pugh for actually shaving her head too.
Oh, she did.
And
okay. Well,
and there were only 3 cameras.
Another role or no?
They only had 2 or 3 cameras when they did that, and so they were like, you know, Andrew felt the pressure. He was like, I gotta get this done.
That's right.
Get it right in one take.
Yeah.
So yeah, really, really cool movie.
Forgot about that one, honestly. But yeah, very good.
And on another serious note, it ends with us with Blake Lively, which we will not get into any of the like real life drama of all that's going on.
Sure.
If you're curious about it, go look it up and decide for yourself. So
we don't have to get into it.
We're just talking about.
Well, for the record, we already talked about it. Yes, we already talked about it in our last episode.
We talked about It Ends With Us?
Yes.
Oh, okay. No.
Yeah, just like a short version of it.
Okay.
I just have
think
to
it's
say,
ironic that.
Yes, that's what I have to say. I think it's ironic,
Yeah,
everything that's going on with the lawsuit and
Blake
everything.
versus Justin, yeah.
Yeah, like for those who don't know, just the super Spark Notes version is the lead actor is also the director in the movie, and there's been allegations of like sexual harassment and improper work environment, that sort of thing, to the point that they've even released like behind the scenes footage like the legal team of that director, actor. So like
And then
all that stuff's out there if you want to look into it. I have my thoughts and opinions, which we're not going to get into.
Yeah, and the media is very divided on whose side they're on.
The
And
media and people and friends too, which we found out about recently. But
yeah, it's exciting.
well,
Not exciting.
I
It's not.
just hope that
Sometimes
the truth
it's fun.
comes out
Yeah.
and it's all sorted out, because this kind of like the whole reason the story is told is to prevent this type of stuff from happening.
Right.
So let's hope it just gets sorted out, because it's just a big freaking
Or maybe
mess.
it's all a conspiracy theory.
Okay, moving on. We will have a conspiracy episode for you one day.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
What other movies?
Well, so we only we just said, oh yeah, we'll eventually talk about Joker, but we didn't actually talk about it.
I liked the first one better.
I think most people did.
I actually didn't mind the musical, just like the musical aspect, because it was great performances.
Yeah.
It was a little longer than what it needed to be.
I think it was deeply misunderstood.
Yeah,
Kind
I
of
would
like-
agree.
In not the same way, but also like the first one was misunderstood, where a lot of people idolized the Joker from the first movie.
Yeah.
And this felt more of like a takedown of that in some senses, because it was not glorifying him or giving him a win at all. Like, not to go into spoilers on it, but it's just it's a very different movie. And
Different, yeah, which is good. We need
Yes.
different.
I thought it was good. I liked it. It didn't blow me away.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was also, oddly, if this makes sense, it was trying not to be this like scorched earth masterpiece. It was trying to be like this very muted,
Diametrically opposed.
yeah, to the first one. So it's actually, to me, kind of miraculous that it turned out as good as it did, when it's almost trying to not be.
I think it was trying to make you feel weird.
Yes, there's a scene.
Like, I think it was like, we want to make you feel confused.
Yes, I think that was the
And they
intent.
did a good job.
They did.
I was like, do I like this? I don't dislike it,
Well,
but I
and
don't love it.
so I'll just say two things really quick about it that stick out to me. Like, one is that, again, this is part of I think it was trying to confuse or frustrate the audience intentionally, so in terms of like the musical aspect, because to me, I was like, I wanted pieces I was like humming and singing, like any musical that you ever. I've been exposed to a lot of musicals recently, so like there's a lot of pieces that stick in your head of the good ones,
Right.
and I can't recall a single note, like, honestly,
Yeah.
from any of this, which I think it was intentionally trying to not be like catchy or whatever.
Right.
But there's this one scene you may or may not remember where they're trying to do a musical act, and then he turns to Lady Gaga's character, which is Harley Quinn, essentially. And he basically says, I don't think we're giving the people what they want. And I thought that was a very clever, unmasking for the
Fourth wall.
audience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's
Good point.
there's not much else to say other than that, I feel like.
Y'all are gonna think I'm a prude because I probably say this every other episode, but like, legitimately, they did not need the sex scenes, and it was just.
This is only like one, right?
Was it one or two?
I only remember the
the
one.
fact that like that's what I remember, because I was like, why? This is so misplaced. It was just weird. The
Oh,
part was
yeah.
weird,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of
I'm
stuff
just
that
sick
just
of
felt
Hollywood
odd.
being like, let's just throw this in here. You're like, what?
Well, and there's a good chance that the movie that's going to win Best Picture is probably going to be something like Anora, which the whole premise of it is like a sex worker who gets married, and
Yeah. I didn't even.
seemed
I saw.
interesting to me.
Yeah, I
Like,
saw the trailer and I was like, this doesn't look good at all. Why is this?
I mean, like,
in-
I
don't
might
know.
watch it, but there's only so much time, and
Okay, well, if you've seen it, let us know.
Well,
And if it is worth
convince
our
us
time-
it's worth it.
Yeah,
please.
convince us, and then we'll
'Cause
watch
we
it and
have
talk
a
about it.
lot of stuff that we want to get through, and it's not high
Yeah.
on our list.
We've done a little bit of a movie pause, and we're trying to work on shows.
Yeah, that's true.
So
Should we mention just a couple briefly that we like? This
Yeah.
isn't a show podcast, but in terms of
yeah,
filmmaking.
why don't you go first?
Well, so I'll just say, and I'll thank you for like pushing me to try these, but Apple TV Plus specifically has kind of to me been the Trojan
Top dog.
horse. They've kind of come from the bleachers, so to speak, into the streaming game, and they're kind of kicking butt. Like,
Yeah, I think we should talk about, well, if you could mention, so Silo,
yes.
season 2 came out. We've watched it all.
Uh-huh.
For those of you that
I've
don't
not read
know,
the book.
or
I'm
already,
good.
yes. So Hugh Howey has a series. It's wool. What is it? Dust.
know
Wool.
what it is.
Wool shift dust.
Yeah.
So I watched the first season. I read the book and then I watched the second season.
And the
was-
first book is the first 2 seasons, right?
Yes,
something like
book
that.
1 is the first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So it was super fascinating, but
Hmm.
like if we want, there was a scene in particular that Jack and I have been talking about nonstop because it was an underwater scene.
Okay.
And while we were
Yes.
watching it, we were thinking to ourselves, "Is this?
Like, how did they shoot this?
How did they
Because,
shoot this?"
well, yeah, like, you were like, I think you said to me while we were watching it, you're like, do you think they practically did this? And I'm like, so there's 2 ways that underwater scenes are typically done.
Mhm.
One is, and this is, of course, I haven't done underwater scenes. This is just stuff that I've
Right,
like read up on and
Yeah.
like learned about because of my passion and my craft. But usually it's done via like, you either practically do it with underwater cameras,
Right.
or you do it what they call dry for wet, where it's done like made to look
Right.
like it's underwater, but it's not.
And after we were watching it, we kind of were like, "This
I mean,
has
it
to be
looked
real."
It looked very
And
practical.
guess what, guys?
It'd be real.
It is real.
Yeah, there's a YouTube video on it. They
Yep.
built like the largest tank
Largest-
in London
Yep.
to do it. It's incredible.
Which makes sense of why it was one of the most expensive shows ever made.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, when you watch it and you see the sets, you'll know why. I mean, it's incredible.
Yes.
I mean, I think this show is a testament to any other film that I've ever seen. It's not about the actors. This takes a village
Oh yeah.
to make art.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's just
It's collaborative. It's a
I cannot
collaborative medium.
imagine the amount of workers
Hundreds, if not thousands,
thousands
Yeah.
upon thousands.
per episode. Like,
So highly recommend Silo.
yeah,
Apple's
amazing.
also-
production.
Doing
There's-
great.
What were you?
Yeah, I was gonna say Apple's, doing Severance, and we're into Severance.
Yes, which we've only seen the first episode of season 2, which like right away they do like this crazy opening shot that I missed. So
Yes.
what did I say right away? I was just like, do you
Yeah,
remember what I
no,
said?
no, I don't.
I was like, God, I can't even imagine how long it took to shoot that opening
And
shot.
it took what was it 5 months?
Yep.
5 months
That's what they said.
to do an opening shot. And for the record, the opening shot is literally what's his name? Ben? No, that's him in the Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Adam
Adam
Scott.
Scott.
Sorry, Adam Scott. It's Adam Scott running through halls,
Mhm.
and it's what is it, a 1-2 minute shot? So I mean, it's
Yeah.
long.
It's long.
Like
yeah.
if you think about how long shots are, this is a very long shot. But the fact that it took 5 months to do this is just absurd.
Yeah, the behind the scenes footage that has released of like the camera guy running, pretty insane too. Because like it's a dude running. I mean, they do effects and stabilization and stuff to help it, but
Yeah.
like,
So if you're looking to be taken on a wild ride that's like fun and exciting and like kind of on your toes or on the edge of your seat the whole time, I highly recommend doing Apple TV's Severance and Silo.
yeah. It's funny you said Silo being so expensive. I think I read Severance is more expensive.
No.
Yep.
How?
A couple things from what I was reading up and understanding. It sounded like,
Because set wise, it seems
well,
very simple.
it's a couple things. Yeah, you'd think that the sci-fi show or dystopian show would be more expensive, but I think it had to deal with like the timing that like contracts were changing.
We should
And,
fact
like-
check that because I don't believe you.
Wow.
I'm
okay.
just kidding.
I mean,
I swear
I read it.
I read that Silo.
Where did you read it?
I
When
don't
you're
know.
I read in the trades, babe. Do you read in the trades?
Yeah, it was an AP News.
Oh, okay. They're
I'm
actually
just-
good.
I'm just I know.
You're making it up?
I'm making it up. I don't
Okay.
know. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'm for
My plug.
season 1 at least. I think
Okay,
was
my
more
plug right now is I feel like it's overrated because everyone apparently is talking about it.
What?
But
Severance?
no, The Night Agent.
Oh,
Because season 2
I
came
haven't
out.
seen it. Yeah.
Season 2 came out. It was renewed for season 3, and kind of like what I talked about. We were talking about with Andrew Garfield. Like I've been listening to a lot of Gabriel Basso interviews, and
The lead actor.
yeah, and he like does all of his own stunts. But he has a really fascinating take on, I think, just like acting in general, and like he even said like, I'm not a fan of acting.
As an actor.
Yeah, as an actor, he's not a fan of acting. But yeah, I think that it is number 1 in 93 countries for because
just
it's
don't
good.
Understand. Like,
Okay, you also haven't seen it. So anyway,
I have seen clips of it that you have shown me.
That's just my plug.
Yeah.
Which in the interesting. Hey, this is how you know I really like it, because action's not my biggest thing, and season 2 is like so much action.
And you liked it still. Huh?
Yeah, I did. I mean, there were a few where I was like, okay, I'm over this.
I was catching a little bit of the final scene that you were watching, and I was like, oh, this sounds moderately interesting to me. But the other stuff, I'm kind of like, it just looks very typical to me. I haven't sat down and watched a full episode. I'm sure it's... Anyway.
I will say this show has made me go like, I really want to watch Dark, because I've heard such great things about Dark.
You are making me so proud.
Dude, if I watch Dark, will you watch The Night Agent?
Fine. If you... Okay, look. Dark is going to be hard for you to get through. Okay, because it is like, I can't even fully explain it. There's like one of my buddies, he watched it too, because I told him about it. It's in my top 3 shows of all time.
Oh,
it's amazing.
I have to watch this.
But it's like so deep into time travel. Ooh. Like I can't even explain to you like how everything connects, and it's just very well written. It's a German show, so you have to either watch it dubbed or subtitled. So just prefacing that, and it's like super. It's one of the most.
Drop a comment below if you prefer dubbed or sub.
Oh yeah, that's a.
What do you prefer? Does it depend on the show?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we actually talked about this with some friends recently. This gets into a whole like sub conversation about sound and subtitles and everything. But to me, I try to watch stuff in their original language as much as possible. Because watching something dubbed is really,
it takes you out of it.
I used to do it when I watched Godzilla movies all the time as a kid. I am glad it, just like subtitles in general, like for your native language, I'm glad it exists. I just prefer to watch it a certain way. So like the only time I'm typically going to use subtitles is if I'm watching a foreign show that I don't understand the language natively. Mm-hmm. And like I've taken a little bit of German in my academics, so to me it's like a treat to be like trying to connect what they're saying. Mm-hmm. Like I'm even playing a game right now that people talk in German in it, and I don't have the subtitles on. I'm actually just like trying to understand what they're saying, and they're talking in a lot of German. Jeez, so it's fun. That's a small plug. Yeah. Like that game is an Indiana Jones game. We have to watch Indiana Jones.
Okay, I know.
I know it's a whole.
He found out that I've never seen Indiana Jones.
I can't
because I apparently live under a rock. And I told him the only reason why I know about Indiana Jones is because in 2nd grade I went to Disney World and we watched the like live Indiana Jones show. My phone was listening because I just saw a reel about Disney doing Indiana Jones stuff. And it was like this with this big rock that they were rolling, and I was like, I literally just told you that the other day. Yeah. And now there's a reel showing me it. What?
Man.
Scary.
Yeah.
So anyway, some cool shows. I have a question for you.
Go ahead.
To leave the audience with. What is a fun comedy show that you are really enjoying right now?
Oh yeah, should I just?
Well, it doesn't have to be what I'm thinking of. What you tell me, and then I'll also answer.
Okay. I mean, we're watching a couple different comedies right now.
Yeah.
I think. Right? Like, yeah.
Very slowly working through them.
Very slowly. Yeah. I'm.
Because you got
glacial in how I move through shows. And like it took me, I love Dark. It took me about 3 days to get through. She's binges.
Emma.
Binge master.
Well, what's the?
Bingeinator.
What's like? I'm a tsunami, yo. Yeah, you're here. Wait,
I'm
glacial is
so slow.
Is it slow?
A glacier is slow, babe. A glacier's really slow. A glacier's not moving.
Yeah.
Look up glacial as an
tsunami
adjective.
and an earthquake. all together.
It
and
happens.
the tornado.
It happens very quick.
I'm what's that dude's that everyone loves right now?
What?
Who's in Twister?
Oh my gosh.
I was just gonna say what's his name? Glenn something?
Glenn Powell.
Yeah, I'm a Glenn Powell Twister. Twisters. When it comes to because like my thing is like I binge and then I don't watch for a while.
Oh, that's
and then I binge and then I don't watch. Cause I'm the exact opposite of Jack. Jack does like little bitty chocolate chip morsels every now and then. I'm like, let's go, bro.
Yeah,
Eat the whole chocolate bar. Let's go.
Yeah, I like to enjoy. I'm like a wine taster when it comes to food.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like downing the bottle of wine. I'm like savoring it and being like, yes, the shots and the pacing and the writing.
Chug, chug.
Yeah.
And then I'm hungover for 2 weeks.
Yes. Yeah, there you go.
And this is just funny because I don't drink, so it's funny that we're Anyway,
Yes.
so what show are you enjoying right now? That
I have
new or old?
I am quite, and the whole reason, you're gonna know what I'm talking about before I get to it.
Okay.
The whole reason that I started, because I've heard before, I think from you to some degree, and then from one of our friends, she was telling me, she's like, I really think you would like it. I think you should give it a shot. And I just
I think I watched it in college, and then
you watched it a while ago.
again, I just watched a lot of stuff and forget
I've
about
heard people talk about it, and I
Yeah.
walked through the door one night,
it. Yep.
and you
I
were
just had it
washing.
on
Yeah, you had it
randomly.
on, and I heard a couple lines from it, and this is why I
And
call
he
you like my.
busted a gut.
Well, this is why I don't remember busting a gut when I walked through the door. What I remember was because I call you my great sifter when
Yes.
it comes to shows because you binge so much and you try all these different stuff.
Yeah.
You've been telling me watch The Queen's Gambit for years.
Yep.
8 episode limited series. I haven't gotten to it yet,
That is
but like
so
I know,
top-notch.
okay, I need to watch that
Yep.
because it's so
Because
good.
I'm still talking about it 5 years later.
And like
Yeah.
again with The Night Agent, like you've been watching it. I've
Yeah.
seen a few clips here and there, and I'm like, it doesn't seem like my thing. But like I walk through the door and I catch like a few sentences.
And you're like,
I'm like, I need to sit down
yep.
and like just watch a little bit of it.
Yep.
And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna watch New Girl.
He was ready.
Yeah.
So we opened up the New Girl.
Yeah.
Whatever you call it.
The New Girl can of worms. New Jess Girl, as I like to call it, because of how the title opening.
Yeah, you know, the title is, Nick is holding New and Winston's holding Girl, and then Schmidt comes in sliding in Jess, and Jack's always like, New Jess Girl.
Like, why? Anyway.
What's your like favorite line that sticks out to you, or favorite character right now?
I love Winston as a character because he just has this like calmness to him and this deadpan humor that I relate to a lot. And I just the one episode that we watched where he was talking about like I'm being so naughty like, when he was drinking was hilarious.
Yeah.
That's like not me when I drink. That's just me when I have fun. So I have to say,
'Cause he is kind of a goody two shoes.
is he really? I didn't know.
I mean, like,
I don't know as much about
not
his character
Nick.
yet. Yeah, well, yeah, Nick's like the old grandpa, he's a drunk or whatever. But yeah, I love the writing. The writing and the acting is phenomenal in the show. But the writing is what
relentless.
that is what I've called it. I was almost
Relentless.
like hyperventilating the other night when
It
they were
reminds-
just going off. Like they could not stop.
It reminds me of Community, where like you haven't even processed. You're like laughing about the first joke,
Yeah.
and then you haven't even processed the second joke, but they're on the fifth joke.
Yes.
And you're like, we've actually paused the show a lot and been like, wait, we need to rewind that.
Yeah.
So
Very, very good.
I'm having a blast watching it with you because of just how hard you're laughing.
It's so good. I'm really impressed with the writing first and foremost, but like the chemistry of the actors and the ad-libbing they do is just really great.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm really impressed with it. Just very, very impressed with it overall. And not the last episode, but one of the recent ones we watched actually got kind of real.
Yep.
Which I wasn't expecting it to hit me that hard. Not that I cried or anything. Not that there's anything wrong with crying.
No, I just love that they're like in their 30s and like they got a lot of stuff going on, and we're like,
life stuff.
oh boy.
Yeah.
It's nice to know that. I don't know, when you watch shows when you're in college, you find it funny, and then if you have time later in life that you sit down and watch it and you're like, ooh, this hits a little different.
Just a little
So-
bit. Yeah.
I would say my actually we've had a discussion whether it really is a comedy or not.
Mm.
But the one that I would like to mention, because I really like Ted Danson, is the man on the
Oh.
inside.
Yep.
It was a super easy watch, by the way, because it was
Shorter.
what, 8 episodes maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shorter, 30-minute episodes. So, Jack and I watched it, and essentially Ted Danson plays this. He's this old guy who just like doesn't. His wife died, and he's just kind of like looking for a purpose,
Yeah.
and he ends up being a spy. A man on the inside, if you will,
Yeah.
to helping someone solve like the case, this case where someone stole jewelry in a retirement community. So it ended up being way more real than real, like
Yes.
real, like you're like, whoo,
Well,
this is.
you were
it
crying
like
at one point.
yeah, I did. I cried a fair amount.
Yeah.
In part because I work at a retirement community, and there was just a lot of stuff that was like, whoa, this is too real.
Yeah.
But in a similar sense of, New Girl, we're like, wow, we feel like we get it. There's a part of me that I'm kind of like, whoa, I see this every day. And I bet if we were to watch this when, we're older, God willing, we live to be, however old Ted Danson is right now, I'm sure we'll have a different lens and appreciation for it. But I just love to see so many actors that are being, like so many elderly actors that are getting the option to be on a set. And I think that it's really unique and cool.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
it was fun and sad.
Mhm.
All at the same time. But yeah, it was advertised as a comedy. So
Yeah.
ugh.
It is. I think we should wrap it up soon.
Yeah.
I do want to briefly mention, just since you mentioned comedies and shows, we are working our way through Schitt's Creek.
We are slowly.
Yes, I do really like it. I think it's really good. It is a very different type of comedy show,
Yes.
which it's just, I'm not gonna say it's like overly serious, because like I think when we talked about those two shows just now, it's like New Girl is clearly a comedy. And on the inside, doesn't feel like a comedy so much. It has comedic moments, but it's very serious. This is like, it almost feels like a documentary, but not in like The Office, where The Office is a mockumentary. Like, it's very clearly a documentary.
Yeah.
Whereas like this, stylistically, it's not, but it has this feeling of like, there's a lot of realness here, but it's very funny, but it's also very real. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
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 So we're enjoying it, but I think it's just the pacing is very different for a comedy. The writing is very good, but it's just different.
So stay tuned to our opinions on future movies. We are slowly working through it.
Yes.
And just remember, although screens are not the best thing in the world, because I have opinions about them, film, just remember, film is a medium of art, and art makes you feel things, good, bad, and sometimes it's for you for numbing, which is fine.
And
but
just like I have different takeaways on films like horror movies that Steph isn't gonna
ever see
or have the same takeaways on, and she's gonna like things like The Night Agent that I may not ever like, or I might.
Yeah.
You all might have different things that you like or dislike, and that's what's beautiful about art.
And kind of like a book club, I just heard someone say the other day, I like being in a book club. I read a lot of books, and the one thing that I like about book club is that I never would have picked this book up if it weren't for being in a book club. You're reading so many different books. So if you're listening to this, just maybe sit down for an hour and a half and relax. Try a film that maybe you never would have watched before, and see how it makes you feel or what it makes you think about things.
Yeah. Well, next time we can touch base on Oscar stuff as we watch through more of it, and probably some snubs too from stuff that because we watched like quite a bit last year and not a lot made it,
Snubs.
including the biggest snub of all, Sonic 3.
Yeah.
That was the biggest Oscar snub.
So was it.
I like Sonic 3.
Yeah, it was a fun watch.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway,
Until next time.
until next time,
Go
go
see a
a
movie.
movie.